everyone, I'm Abigael Japery and my matrix number is BM23110057. So today I'm going to present about the study of human skin, which it relates to the medical specialist dermatologist. First, what is dermatologist? So, dermatologist is the medical doctor who specializes in conditions that affect the skin, hair, and nails, whether it's rashes, wrinkles, psoriasis, or melanoma. Sometimes, a skin condition is a sign of a serious health issue. For example, signs of diabetes and heart disease can show up on the skin. Other than that, dermatologists also help patients with cosmetic concern like wrinkles, saggy skin, scarring that is caused by acne, or surgery to remove a skin cancer. As you can see from the picture at the right side, the skin is related to the body system, which is integumentary system. Next, let's look at the anatomy of skin. So skin is the largest organ in the body and it covers the body's entire external surface. It is made up of three layers, which are the epidermis, dermis, and the hypodermis. The hypodermis is also known as the subcutaneous layer. So skin is actually have two different types, which are thick skin and thin skin. For thick skin, it is lack of hair follicles, sebaceous glands, and smooth muscle fibers. We can find this thick skin on palms and soles. While for the thin skin, it contains more hair follicles, sebaceous glands, as well as smooth muscle fiber. So we can find it all over our body. Other than that, there are also other skin structures, which are the nails, mammary glands, and the enamel of teeth. So we can refer on the picture at the right side to see what is inside on each of the layer of the skin. So let's look at the table. For epidermis, it is a tough superficial layer that provides a protective outer surface overlying its regenerative and pigmented deep or basal layer. It has no blood vessels or lymphatics. And the skin is also supplied with efferent nerve endings that are sensitive to touch, irritation, and temperature. Next, for dermis, it is the dense layer of interlacing collagen and elastic fibers that provide skin tone as well as strength to our skin. It contains hair follicles with smooth erector muscle and sebaceous glands. For the erector muscle, when it contracts, our hairs will stand up straighter. And then the small arterioles also have within the dermis, which is involved in the loss or retention of body heat. Next is the hypodermis. The hypodermis is composed mostly of loose connective tissue, and it stores fat and contains sweat glands, superficial blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and cutaneous nerve. It also contains skin ligaments that extend through the subcutaneous tissue and attach the deep surface of the dermis to the underlying deep fascia. And the length and density of these ligaments will determine the mobility of the skin. Now, let's look at the histology part. First, we're going to look at the epidermis. So epidermis, the type of cell of the epidermis is actually stratified squamous keratinized epithelium that consists of 4 layers or 5 layers in the thick skin. It consists of the stratum basal, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, stratum lucidum, and stratum corneum. First, let's see the stratum basal layer. So stratum basal is actually the deepest layer of the epidermis. So it is a single layer of cuboidal or columnar cells on the basement membrane. It is mitotically active and it contains melanocytes, keratinocytes, Merkel cells, and stem cells. It has hemidesmosome that attach the epidermis to the dermis. So as you can see on the picture, the dermis is the second layer of the skin and the epidermis is on top of it. So stratum basal, as it is the deepest layer of the epidermis, it have the hemidesmosome so that it can attach the epidermis to the dermis. Next, let's look at the stratum spinosum. Stratum spinosum contains Langerhans cells and several layers of keratinocytes that is connected by desmosome. This desmosome allows cells to remain tightly bound to one another and resemble spine shape. So that is why it is called stratum spinosum. Next, the third layer is the stratum granulosum. It contains several layers of cells that contain lipid-rich granules. So that is why the name of this layer is stratum granulosum, because the cell have granules, which are keratohyaline granules and lamellar granules. The lamellar granules release a water-repelling glycolipid into the intercellular space that helps prevent water loss from the body. So this will make the skin relatively waterproof. Next is the stratum lucidum. For stratum lucidum, it only exists in the thick skin. So it only exists in our soles and palms. In this layer, the nuclei and the organelles begin to disintegrate, leaving behind their keratin filaments. Then last but not least is the stratum corneum. For stratum corneum, it is the topmost layer of the epidermis. So this layer have keratinized layer that serve as a protective overcoat and is the outermost layer of the epidermis. So due to the keratinization and lipid content, this layer allows for the regulation of water loss by preventing internal fluid evaporation. Now, let's look at the dermis part. So dermis actually have two layers, which are the papillary layer and reticular layer. For papillary layer, it is a superficial layer of the dermis and it composed of areolar connective tissue, forms dermal papillae, and contains subpapillary vascular plexus. While for the reticular layer, it is the deeper layer of the dermis and it is a dense, irregular connective tissue surrounding the hair follicles, sebaceous glands, and sweat glands, nerves, and deep plexus of blood vessels extending into the subcutaneous layer, which is the hypodermis. Next is the physiology of human skin. Our skin have many functions. First, it gives us the sensation, which we can sense touch, pressure, vibration, pain, heat, and more. Then, it also protects our body from environmental effects such as abrasion, fluid loss, harmful substances, UV ray, and invading microorganisms. Next, it also for the synthesis and storage of vitamin D. And not only that, it also undergo the heat regulation through the evaporation of sweat and or the dilation or constriction of superficial blood vessels. Now, let's look what are the diseases that your skin can get. So here I provide one example, which is the skin cancer, that is melanoma. So melanoma is a more serious type of skin cancer that develops in the cell called melanocyte. It produces melanin, which is the pigment that gives your skin its color. So it can develop anywhere on your body, but most oftenly it develops in areas that expose to the sun, such as your back, legs, arms, and face. It can also occur in areas that don't receive much sun exposure. For example, the soles of your feet, palms, and fingernails. So this is called hidden melanoma. For hidden melanoma, it is more common in people with darker skin. Now, let's see what are the symptoms of melanoma. So if you have a mole that change in its shape, color, or develop into a new signs and symptoms such as itchiness or bleeding, it might be the symptoms of melanoma. So what causes this melanoma? It actually happens when some cells develop DNA damage. New cells may begin to grow out of control and it can eventually form a mass of cancerous cells. It is a combination of factors including environmental and genetic factors, as well as UV ray from the sun and from the lamps. So how we can treat this melanoma is actually by a few ways, such as surgery, radiotherapy, immunotherapy, and chemotherapy. So this treatment depends on the severity of the skin cancer. Then here is one of the famous dermatologists in Malaysia, which is Dr. Nazirin Arifin. She is a medical doctor specializing in dermatology in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Because of her service, she has earned many loyal customers due to her great advice and treatment.
These are all of the references that I refer to get all of the information related to the study of human skin. That's all from me. Thank you.